Hi, my name is Pyron, and today I am here with 4 vocabulary words to improve your English. Let's talk about revamp. The dictionary's definition of revamp is give new and improved form, structure, or appearance to something. Those of you mujakers who have been studying for at least a year will remember the time when the exterior of the building was orange. Now it has been revamped. It has been painted light blue. How about a better example? For those of you who are around my age, and by that I mean who are either about to graduate from university or have already graduated from university and are looking for a job, you'll probably remember the time when you could go to public bathrooms, right, in subway stations or at the bus terminal, and you would find ashtrays next to you, right? This was very stinky and smelly, and it was kind of gross because it was filled with cigarette butts. Now, because the government has revamped all the public bathrooms, in Busan at least, it is very hard to find ashtrays. Another example is if you go to a fast food restaurant such as Burger King, Loteria, McDonald's, it is hard to find a human employee. How do we place our order now? We place our order through this ATM-like machine, right? We place our order, we pay with a card, and without any human interaction whatsoever, we can take our meal, eat it, or leave. So the fast food industry has been completely revamped by AI, artificial intelligence, and the service industry will continue to undergo this revamping until eventually, I believe, all service workers will be replaced by artificial intelligence to increase efficiency. Let's talk about the word accede. Accede, according to the dictionary, means to agree to a demand, request, or treaty. Now, before we start talking about accede, I would like to point out the difference between accede and exceed. Exceed is a term I'm sure most of you are actually familiar with, even if you are a beginner. Exceed, right? You've heard this example before. Let's say you are poor at math, right? Your math score right now is 75. And then you take another math test and you get a 95, right? You feel very happy. Your teachers and your parents are happy because you have exceeded their expectations and your own personal expectations. We are not talking about exceed. Exceed. We are not talking about exceed. We're going to talk about accede. Now, accede, as I said, means to agree to a demand, request, or treaty. Here's a very simple example. When I returned to university after taking a 2-year break, I felt like my brain didn't work. I took the easiest classes available, but I still felt very, very dumb. I was taking music class. Music class is really easy. All you do is listen to music, right? Dun 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 da da da, and write essays. I believe that Mozart is the best composer since Beethoven. Music is a very easy subject. Well, it's supposed to be an easy subject, but it was very difficult for me because I hadn't studied in a very long time. So I ended up getting a 93.5 on my music final. To get an A plus, I needed a 94. So this is a 0.5% difference. So what did I do? I went to my professor and I said, I would very much appreciate it if you could raise my 93.5 to a 94 so I can get an A plus. My professor was very generous and she acceded to my demands and gave me the 94 that I needed. And I ended up improving my GPA, and I am very satisfied with where it is now. So she acceded She acceded. She did not accede to my demands. She acceded to my demands. The next word we're going to talk about is pique. Now, pique, Pique, sounds very similar. Well, it's pronounced the same as Peak, right? Like mountain peak. But Pique is a verb which means to stimulate someone's interest or curiosity. What do you think is the most difficult job on earth? I believe it is teaching young children between the ages of 8 and 10 who are in first, second, and third grade of elementary school. Why is it so hard to teach them? Because they have no motivation. All of us who are adults, we have this deep desire to change for the better. We have this deep desire to work for the benefit of all mankind. We have this desire to work for the better of our paychecks, but we have this inborn motivation that drives us, right? That makes us get out of bed and study. Do 10-year-old children have that? No, they do not. When I was in second grade of elementary school, my priorities were not studying. They were shooting water guns with my friends, catching spiders, and eating as many popsicles as I humanely could. I did not want to study. But I'm tutoring a student who is in the third grade right now. His name is Benjamin. And whenever we start our tutoring sessions, if I say something like, "Hey Benjamin, would you like to read the encyclopedia?" Right? He shows zero enthusiasm. Of course not. He's a kid, right? He's not supposed to, kids don't want to learn. So instead, I have to find a way to stimulate his brain. I have to find a way to pique his curiosity. Something that interests him, something that would genuinely interest him. So instead, I say something like, "Hey Benjamin, would you like to read My Haunted House? It's full of ghosts and wizards and knights in shining armor and giant spiders." And this, fortunately, piques his interest. So we are able to have a fulfilling lesson together. For those of you who are going into teaching, I salute you and I admire you and I send you my applause. But remember, it is very important to pique the curiosity of your students first before you actually teach them. The last term we're going to talk about is maneuver, which means to move skillfully or carefully. The city of Busan is notorious for its bad drivers. At least this is what my friends from Seoul say. Once when I was headed to the KTX station, I was running late. I was going to miss my train. So I quickly hailed a cab and I told the cab driver, "I have 20 minutes to get to the KTX station. If you get me there and I don't miss my train, I will pay you in cash with a nice bonus." And as soon as I said these words, he went into Fast and Furious mode and he shot off like a roller coaster. As he began to maneuver through traffic, I felt very queasy. I also felt like my life was in danger, but eventually I got to the train station on time and was not late, thanks to his careful maneuvering. So this is when we use maneuver in the literal sense, right? When we drive or when we walk across a sidewalk on a very crowded, busy day. Another way we can use the term maneuver is this. I was reading a book on law, right? On law, success, how to become successful, those kinds of things. And what I learned was quite interesting. The book said that when you start working for any organization, The status quo, what we are all told by our friends, family, and colleagues is when you start working, it is very important to focus on your job and your job only, right? Have we all heard this before? If you start working, focus on your job, do a good job, and you can get promoted. Well, the book that I'm reading offers a little bit different advice. It says, doing your job is important, but what's even more important is carefully maneuvering your way up the social ladder in your organization so that you can become promoted quicker. So according to this book on law that I'm reading, maneuvering your way to the top of your company is as important or more important than simply doing your job correctly. If you want to be truly successful, I believe that it is important to be good at maneuvering both on the highway, like my taxi driver, but also in the world of conglomerates and corporations. So this is it for today, folks. We talked about 4 words: revamp, accede, not exceed, accede, pique, and maneuver. So that's all for today, folks, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much for your attention.